The sun on planet Virelia was not yellow like Earth's. It shone in a soft blue hue, casting pale silver shadows across the grassy plains. The wind hummed through tall, crystal-like trees, whispering in a language only nature understood. For most humans, it was a strange world. For Leo, it was peaceful. Leo was one of the few human explorers selected to live on Virelia as part of the Unity Exchange program. His job was simple: observe, learn, and make peaceful connections. It had been 3 weeks since he arrived. So far, most of the Elvari, the native people of Virelia, kept their distance. They were graceful beings with pale blue skin, elf-like ears, and expressions that rarely changed. They valued silence, structure, and discipline. Today, Leo had been assigned a new guide, an Elvari female named Ryla. She arrived exactly on time as expected from someone raised in a world of order. She stood at the entrance of the research outpost, tall and elegant, wearing a smooth teal robe with metallic patterns. Her long silver hair was tied in a loop behind her head. Her violet eyes scanned the area quickly and then stopped on Leo. "You are human, Leo?" she asked in a soft, clear voice. Leo smiled and stood. "Just Leo is fine," he replied. She tilted her head slightly. "I am Ryla. I will be your companion for cultural observation. I will guide you. You will follow." Leo nodded. "Sounds fair." They began walking toward the northern fields. The air was cool, and a soft mist floated around the low hills. Ryla moved like a shadow, quiet and careful. Leo, in contrast, hummed softly as he walked. The two said little for the first 20 minutes. Ryla seemed focused on her task, while Leo took in the scenery. After a while, Leo tried to break the silence. "Have you always lived here?" he asked. "Yes. Do you like it?" "I function within it. Liking is unnecessary." Leo chuckled lightly. "You folks really are different from us." Ryla glanced at him but didn't reply. They reached a hilltop where a strange flower bloomed, its petals transparent, glowing faintly blue under the sky. Leo leaned down, admiring it. "It's beautiful," he said. Ryla watched silently. She didn't speak. Then Leo stood up, looked at her, and with a casual, sincere tone said, "You're so beautiful." Everything froze. Ryla's eyes widened slightly. Her posture stiffened. Her hands, which had been resting calmly at her sides, curled just a little. She took a step back, as if those words had physically hit her. Leo noticed. "I'm sorry. Did I say something wrong?" Ryla didn't answer right away. She looked away, her gaze fixed on a far tree. Her cheeks, though usually a pale blue, seemed to flush with a faint hint of violet. It was the first color Leo had seen on her face since they met. "You spoke a phrase," she said finally. "It is not used here." Leo raised an eyebrow. "You mean the compliment?" "Your sentence. About my appearance. That word, beautiful. It is not used toward Elvari females. It is considered too personal." Leo blinked. "But why? It's just a nice thing to say." Ryla took a deep breath. "Because it implies more than appearance. It implies attention, desire, connection. These are discouraged." Leo rubbed the back of his neck. "I didn't mean it in a strange way. I just thought, you really are. I was being honest." Ryla didn't reply. She looked unsure of what to do. Silence returned. Leo decided not to press it. After a few minutes, Ryla spoke again, her voice softer. "Has anyone said that to you before?" she asked. Leo smiled. "Yeah. Back on Earth, we compliment each other all the time. It's just a way to make someone feel seen. It's kind." She looked at him for a moment as if measuring the truth in his words. Then she turned away. "I see," she said quietly. They continued the walk, but the air between them had changed. Something had shifted. Something small, but powerful. Later that evening, Ryla returned to her personal quarters, a dome-shaped structure made of white stone and transparent panels. Her living space was clean, organized, and silent, just the way she had always kept it. But tonight she felt unsettled. She sat by the window, watching the stars blink slowly above the hills. Her mind kept returning to Leo's words. "You're so beautiful." It echoed in her thoughts like an unfamiliar song, not unpleasant but strange, dangerous. She had trained her entire life to be focused. Emotional words like that were forbidden in formal Elvari speech. Even her name, Ryla, was chosen not for beauty but for balance and symmetry. No one had ever commented on her looks. No one had even implied she was different from any other Elvari woman. So why had those words made her heart beat faster? She opened her tablet and began typing into her personal log. Day 22. Human subject. Leo initiated a verbal interaction of personal nature. He described me using the human word, beautiful. Immediate emotional disturbance was noted. Possible, instinctual response. No action taken at this time. Observation continues. She stared at the screen. Then slowly, she deleted the log. Instead, she sat in silence, letting the word remain in her mind. Soft, strange, and glowing like the flower. On the hill. The next morning, Ryla stood in front of her mirror-like wall. The surface reflected her image with perfect clarity. She examined her face slowly. Her pale blue skin, sharp cheekbones, silver hair, and soft violet eyes. Everything about her was symmetrical, neat, proper. She had looked at herself many times before, but today felt different. Leo's words echoed in her mind like distant thunder. "You're so beautiful." She blinked. Her face was the same, yet something inside her had changed. Down the hall her communicator chimed. She took a deep breath and answered. "Guide Rila," a calm voice said. "You are to continue cultural observation duty with human Leo. Begin at First Light Field. You are being monitored." "I understand," she replied, keeping her voice steady. At First Light Field, the sky stretched in soft layers of blue and green. Tall plants swayed with the breeze, sparkling with dew. Leo was already there, waiting near a formation of glowing rocks. When Ryla arrived, he waved. "Morning," he said with a warm smile. Ryla nodded. "You are early." "I couldn't sleep," he said, stretching. "This planet is too quiet sometimes." "It is our natural state," Leo chuckled. "Yeah, I've noticed." They began walking through the tall grass, heading toward the observation post. As they walked, Ryla found herself glancing at him. More than usual. His body moved with energy. His face was open and expressive. Humans were strange, so different from the Elvari. But what surprised her more was how comfortable she felt around him. He spoke again. "So, about yesterday," Leo said carefully. "I hope I didn't make things weird. I didn't mean to offend you." Ryla stopped walking. "You did not offend me. You surprised me." Leo looked at her with honest eyes. "In a bad way?" "No, in a new way. Our people do not use such words. We find emotion dangerous. But I have been thinking." Leo waited patiently. "I do not dislike the word," she said slowly. His eyebrows raised. "Really?" Ryla nodded once. "It made me feel something. I do not understand it, but it was not unpleasant." Leo smiled, his voice gentle. "Then maybe it wasn't so dangerous." They continued walking. Ryla didn't speak again for a while, but her mind was full of questions. Later in the afternoon, they stopped near a small lake surrounded by silver-leafed trees. The air shimmered with tiny insects that glowed like fireflies. Leo pulled out a small data pad and sat on a flat rock. "Mind if I ask you something?" he said. "You may ask. Have you ever been told anything kind before? I mean, not just rules or orders." Something personal? Ryla looked into the water, watching the gentle ripples. No, our culture does not value personal praise. We are trained to think of ourselves as part of the whole. Emotions are seen as distractions. Leo frowned. That sounds heavy. Ryla tilted her head. Your people use emotion freely. You smile often, you laugh. Does it not create disorder? Leo smiled. Sometimes, but it also builds connection. When I say you're beautiful, it's not just about how you look. It's about how you made me feel. Peaceful, curious, and a little amazed. Ryla stared at him for a long moment. I do not understand how appearance causes emotion. Leo leaned forward. It's not just the shape of a face, it's the way someone moves. Their voice, the way they look at you, beauty. It's something that happens in the heart. Ryla looked away, clearly unsure. That sounds dangerous. Yeah, Leo agreed. But it's also wonderful. As the sun began to set, Ryla and Leo climbed a small ridge to watch the changing sky. The Varelian sun turned silver-pink at the horizon, casting long shadows and bathing the land in soft light. It was breathtaking. They sat in silence for a while. Then Ryla spoke. Do you say that word often? She asked. Leo smiled, not looking at her. Not to just anyone. Only when I mean it. Then why did you say it to me? Leo turned, his head toward her, his voice calm but certain. Because you looked like someone who had never heard it before, and I thought you should. Ryla felt something strange in her chest. A warmth. It was small, but it didn't go away. She placed her hand gently over her heart, trying to understand it. I think I would like to know more, she said. Leo looked at her with surprise. More about what? About your emotions, your way of speaking, your compliments. He chuckled. I'd be happy to share. That evening, Ryla returned to her quarters again, but this time, she didn't go straight to her desk or her logbook. Instead, she stood once more before the reflective wall. This time, she looked longer. She tilted her head, copying the way Leo sometimes did. She let her silver hair down from its tight loop. It fell past her shoulders softly. She reached up and touched her face, wondering what he saw. Then she whispered the word quietly to herself. Beautiful. She had never spoken it out loud before. It felt strange on her tongue. Not wrong, just unfamiliar. She repeated it again. Beautiful. And slowly, for the first time in her life, she smiled. The next few days passed quietly, but something had changed between Leo and Ryla. Their walks became longer. Their conversations grew deeper. Ryla, once reserved and silent, started asking questions. Real questions. She wanted to know how humans fell in love, why they valued music, why they cried during movies, and why they wrote poems for people they cared about. Leo answered each question with patience, sometimes with a laugh, sometimes with a story, and sometimes with his own questions for her. He was fascinated by how her mind worked, how curious and thoughtful she really was beneath the surface. Ryla no longer felt strange around him. In fact, she felt calm, curious, comfortable, but not everyone approved. Word had spread. The Elvery did not gossip like humans, but news traveled fast in quiet circles. An elder named Valor, strict, ancient, and highly respected, had reviewed Ryla's daily schedule. He noticed how much time she spent with the human, how long their walks were, and how many of her logs were missing. One morning, Ryla received a direct summons to the High Hall. She knew what that meant. The High Hall was carved from crystal stone and sat high above the cliffs. Inside, 6 elders sat in a wide arc. Their robes shimmered with symbols of logic, duty, and balance. The hall was silent when Ryla entered. Guide Ryla, Elder Valor said. You were assigned to the human Leo for observation, but it seems your reports have become incomplete. Ryla stood still. Yes, Elder. You've spent over 32 hours alone with the human this cycle, more than what is required. Yes, there are whispers, Valor continued, that you have accepted emotional interaction. Is this true? Ryla hesitated. He spoke kind words. I listened. Another elder leaned forward. And did you return these words? No. Ryla said softly. But I did not reject them. The hall went silent again. Elder Valor spoke firmly. You are aware, Ryla, that Elvari do not exchange personal admiration. We do not allow deep emotional influence from outsiders. We value harmony. You risk disrupting that. I understand. Then explain why you continued to meet with him. Ryla lifted her head. Because I wanted to learn. He showed me something I have never felt. It was not chaotic, it was warm. One elder whispered to another. Valor's expression grew stern. You will cease all unsupervised contact with the human immediately. He is not to be blamed. But you must return to balance. Ryla's heart sank. Yes, elder, she said quietly. That evening, Ryla didn't go to the lake. She didn't walk the fields or greet Leo. Instead, she remained in her quarters, sitting alone in silence. Her hand pressed over her chest again, where that small warmth had once been. Now it felt heavy, like something was missing. She thought about his stories, his jokes, the way he smiled when she was confused, and especially, the way he had said that one word. Beautiful. She whispered it again, and this time it hurt. Meanwhile, Leo waited near the lake for nearly 2 hours. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows. He finally stood and returned to the station, confused and concerned. The next day, when he saw Ryla again, she was different. Her hair was tied tightly again. Her face was unreadable. She spoke only when necessary. She gave no smile, no questions, no warmth. Hey, he said gently, walking beside her. You okay? I am fine, she answered coldly. You weren't at the lake yesterday. I was not required to be. Leo stopped walking. Ryla, what's going on? She didn't meet his eyes. This interaction is strictly professional. We will continue only with authorized contact. Please do not use personal language again. His heart sank. Did someone talk to you? She didn't answer. She just walked ahead. Leo stood still. For a long moment, the sky around him felt colder. That night, Leo sat alone in his room, staring at his datapad. He scrolled through pictures of their walks, crystal trees, strange flowers, glowing rivers, but every photo reminded him of her. He opened a new file and began typing. To the Elvari High Assembly, my name is Leo. I'm part of the Unity Exchange program. I want to apologize if I've done something wrong, but I need you to understand, what I shared with Ryla wasn't meant to disrupt. It was meant to connect. On Earth, when we see something rare and beautiful, we say it out loud. Not to control it, but to honor it. I didn't know your culture found emotions dangerous. But I do know this. Ryla smiled. And when she smiled, I saw something truly special. I ask only that you let her decide what connection means to her. He sent the message. The next morning, the station was silent. Then, unexpectedly, a message came through. It was brief. Human Leo. You are to report to the High Hall tomorrow morning for review. Your actions have drawn attention. Leo stared at the screen, unsure whether to feel afraid or hopeful. At the High Hall, he stood before the elders, alone. Elder Valor spoke first. Human, you addressed the council without permission. Yes, Leo said. Because I believe something important was happening. You influenced one of our guides emotionally. Our culture resists this. Leo took a breath. I didn't plan to. I just treated her like someone worth admiring. Another elder asked, And what do you think she is to you? Leo paused. Someone brave enough to question everything she was taught. Someone worth knowing. Not for science, not for study, but for who she really is. The room fell quiet. Then the door opened. Ryla walked in. The elders turned. You We're not summoned. I come by choice, she said firmly. Her voice was calm but clear. I have followed the rules all my life, but I never understood them until I met him. Valor frowned. And what do you understand now? Ryla looked at Leo. I understand that emotions are not weakness. They are connection. They are life. Leo smiled. The high hall was silent after Ryla's words. The elders exchanged looks, their faces unreadable. Some nodded slowly, others frowned deeply. The tension was heavy, like the calm before a storm. Elder Valor finally spoke, his voice low but firm. Ryla, your feelings challenge centuries of tradition. You have chosen to follow your heart over our laws. This cannot be ignored. Ryla met his gaze without fear. I accept the consequences. Leo watched her with admiration. She had changed from the reserved guide he first met into a brave woman willing to stand for what she believed. Valor sighed deeply. Then the council has decided. Ryla will be removed from the cultural exchange program. She will no longer serve as a guide to humans. Her actions risk the stability of our society. Ryla's face remained calm. I understand. Leo felt a sharp ache inside. Is there no other way? The elders shook their heads. This is final. Ryla turned to Leo. It is not your fault. I chose this path. Leo reached out, but she stepped back slightly. The distance between them felt painful. I wish this didn't have to happen, Leo said softly. Me too, Ryla replied. That night, Ryla sat alone in her quarters. The quiet space felt emptier than before. Her thoughts raced. She had never felt so torn. Her people expected her to obey, to be logical, to suppress feelings that could cause chaos. But Leo's kindness had awakened something new inside her, something she could not ignore. She touched the small crystal pendant around her neck, a gift Leo had given her earlier. It was shaped like the strange flower they had seen on the hill. She remembered how she had smiled when she held it. A knock sounded at her door. Ryla rose and opened it carefully. To her surprise, Leo stood there. His eyes were full of concern. I wanted to see you one last time, he said quietly. Ryla stepped aside and let him in. They sat near the window, watching the stars flicker. Leo hesitated. Ryla, I don't want to lose you. Is there any way to change their minds? She shook her head slowly. The elders fear change. They see emotion as weakness. But I see it as strength. Leo smiled faintly. You're right, and I believe that too. For a moment, silence wrapped around them. Then Ryla surprised him. She reached out and took his hand gently. It was a small touch, but it spoke volumes. Trust, hope, and connection. Leo held her hand firmly, feeling a warmth spread through him. Ryla looked into his eyes and whispered, When you called me beautiful, I felt alive. Leo's heart swelled. You are beautiful, Ryla, in every way. The next morning, Ryla was officially relieved of her duties. She packed her belongings, including the pendant, and prepared to leave the exchange station. As she walked through the halls, many Elvari looked at her with mixed expressions, some with sadness, others with disapproval. Before she left, Ryla made one last visit to the observation deck. Leo was already there, gazing at the horizon. They stood side by side, the space between them, filled with unspoken words. Ryla turned to him. Thank you, Leo, for showing me kindness, for making me see a new path. Leo smiled. I'll never forget you. Ryla nodded. Nor I you. Suddenly, a message arrived from the Unity Exchange Command. Leo read it aloud. They want to send you back to your home city, but they have also offered you a choice. Ryla raised her eyebrow. Leo continued. You can leave the program entirely, or you can stay here but only as a civilian observer, no longer a guide. Ryla thought for a moment. I will stay, she said firmly. I want to learn more. Leo grinned. That's the spirit. Days passed and Ryla adapted to her new role. She no longer had official duties but was free to explore and learn on her own terms. Leo helped her adjust, sharing more about human emotions, art, music, and even laughter. One evening, as they sat by the glowing lake, Ryla surprised him. "Again, I have begun to write," she said softly. "Write? Yes, poems, about this world, about feelings, about beauty." Leo's eyes lit up. "I'd love to read them," Ryla smiled, a genuine smile that touched her eyes. Meanwhile, the elders watched from afar. Some began to question their decisions. Young Elvari started to whisper among themselves about the possibility of change. The simple human compliment that had shocked them all was starting to open minds. Ryla had become more than a guide. She was a symbol of hope. Weeks had passed since Ryla accepted her new role as a civilian observer. Though no longer an official guide, her connection with Leo grew stronger with each day. Together, they explored the wonders of Viewership, sharing stories, emotions, and dreams. One morning, as the silver sun rose softly over the horizon, Leo received a message from the Unity Exchange Command. They requested a formal meeting between the elders, Leo and Ryla, to discuss the future of their cultural exchange program. The message was clear. Change was coming. The day of the meeting arrived. The high hall was filled with the same elders who had once judged Ryla's actions. But this time, the atmosphere was different. Curious faces from the younger generation of Elvari were also present, silently observing. Leo stood beside Ryla, who was calm but determined. Elder Valor began, his voice steady. "We have observed the changes in our society since Ryla's interaction with the human. Her courage has sparked many conversations." A younger elder nodded. "Our culture values order, but we cannot ignore the strength found in connection and emotion." Ryla stepped forward. "I was afraid at first, but Leo's kindness showed me that emotions do not weaken us. They give us life and hope." Leo smiled. "On Earth, beauty is not just seen with the eyes, it is felt in the heart." He pressed play on a small device. A video showed moments from their journey together. Ryla's first smile, the glowing flowers, shared laughter, and quiet. Walks beneath Virelia's blue sun, the room filled with silence. Then Elder Valor spoke slowly. "It is clear that we must consider change, to grow, to adapt. This exchange must not only be about observation, but about understanding and embracing the new." The younger elders nodded in agreement. Ryla looked at Leo, her eyes shining. "This is only the beginning." Leo squeezed her hand gently. "Together, we will show the universe the power of kindness." After the meeting, many Elvari approached Ryla and Leo with curious smiles and questions. The walls of tradition began to soften. In the weeks that followed, Ryla continued to write her poems, now shared openly among her people. She spoke of beauty, emotion, and the human way of connection. One evening, as stars shimmered above, Ryla repeated the words that had started it all. "You're so beautiful." But this time, she said them to herself. She smiled fully, believing those words. The story of a simple human compliment had blossomed into a new era of hope for the Elvari and humans alike, a reminder that sometimes the smallest words carry the greatest power, and for Ryla and Leo, it was only the start of a beautiful journey, one of friendship, courage, and understanding.